And welcome back inside Brunch from 107.7. Sharmain, Baboolal, and yours truly. Thank you so much for taking the time to be with us.
Okay, as we move from the Congress of the People, we're getting in the midst of all the election season. We have on the line the Minister of Works, Suruj Rambachan. And Mr. Rambachan, good morning and welcome to Brunch at 107.7. It's the first time that you are at all on 107.7, so we welcome you first and foremost. Thank you also for taking the time on a Sunday morning to spend this time with us. First, we want to get off the ground because your deadline for nominations was was Friday, and there seemed to be a lot of activity at Rennie Complex. So we've only heard about a couple seats and stuff. Are you, for example, going up for Tabaquite constituency again? Have you been nominated again? And are there any contenders against you? And what's the party? Before we go? We want you to just set the background for the party's readiness and it's where it is at now in terms of mobilization on the ground for elections.
Well, the campaign never stopped after 2010, after May 24, 2010. And you recognize that at all points in time, this party has always been able to mobilize its support in very short space of time. Therefore, the core support of this party has in fact not gone anywhere. And of the 459,000 votes that we got in 2010, I'm sure that the vast majority of those people are still with the party because they are beginning to recognize that the party has performed well in terms of its deliverables. The party has demonstrated good leadership in terms of the ability of the Prime Minister to hold a coalition together. And that has significance because you're not just talking about a coalition, you're talking about a coalition in a very multi-diverse country, ethnicity, religions, everything else. And therefore she has been able to promote and holding the government together, the coalition together, she has held unity together in the country. And that is different from what has happened with any coalition of the past. Thirdly, she has demonstrated that even in crises, the government has not collapsed, the government has not run away. Every time there has been a crisis in this country, when the PNM was in office, the PNM ran away or they called an election. They were never able to stand up and deal with economic or financial crises. They always called an election early. Unlike this government, which though we inherited the difficulties with the CLICO $20 billion sinkhole and the HCU $750 million sinkhole, we are still able to bring the country back from that brink. Everyone knew it was a brink. At that time, the GDP was minus 4.4% in 2009. We have created stability, economic stability, financial stability, and it's a high confidence among investors in the country, again, both local and foreign. I want to make a point about this confidence and the GDP. In the last 3 years in this country, we have seen an explosion of building activity in the country, people building homes. For example, in 2013, 6,500 and about 90 persons applied to town country to build homes and had approved plans. In 2014, that went up by about 1,200 more, 7,900, I believe, and applied to build houses. Those are the statistics I got from the Town and Country Planning Division. So that shows you that the economic activity is up. In addition to which, the second most important purchase a man can make in his life is perhaps a car. And car sales have gone up every year. In fact, last year, 33,826 cars were sold in the country, and has gone up this year again. So it gives a light to the myth that people are trying to propagate, that the country is not financially stable, that the country is not economically prosperous.
Minister Rambachan, good morning. This is Rennie Bishop. So are you saying, if I interpret you correctly, is that what the numbers you just called there with the increase in building and the increase in purchase of cars, you're saying there's a quantum appreciation of the quality of life of the general populace? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, and there's a vast improvement in the quality of life in the country.
Okay, but no, I don't want to cut you out, but you're explaining this one, and the question I simply asked was, yes, these are things that we're hearing all the time, right? These are not
things that we hear all the time. I'm on a station for the first time, and I'm giving you you asked me for a background from where we came from and where we are.
All right.
The country is in a far better position today than it was in 2010. And what I'm trying to demonstrate to you that there's a higher confidence in the country now by both local and foreigners in terms of investment and in terms of keeping their roots here. A person is not going to invest in a house or 7,900 houses plans unless they are sure that they have job sustainability. So you have a relationship between the economy and people's investment.
Okay, so I understand you're saying all of this in the context that you answered the question by saying, okay, the campaign never stopped, because I asked you about the party mobilization. Are you, the question about you being nominated for the Tabaquite constituency?
Yeah, sure.
Were you nominated for the Tabaquite constituency? And
I was nominated by all my party groups, 34 party groups, for the constituency of Tabaquite.
So therefore there would have been no other nominations?
No, there was one other guy who put up his name, who has also put up his name in 2010, a fellow by the name of Ravi Ratiram.
A fellow by the name of Ravi Ratiram. Okay, that's an attorney, Ravi Ratiram, yeah?
No,
someone else, not the attorney.
Yeah, the attorney is a different guy.
Okay, well, Mr. Bishop has a few questions for you now. Yeah?
I know that you speak of a party going to course, and every government is going to have their problem, and we accept that. This one being no exception. However, there's been a great disquiet as to the number of firings and ministry reshuffling, and when you're going into an election, then the question is, how stable is the ship? How can you give that confidence, or that assurance rather, to potential voters that the ship is in fact solid amidst all that has happened?
Well, the ship has never been unstable. You have ups and downs. And when we went into office, we promised clean government, we promised ethical government, we promised good governance. And if good governance and ethical government and clean government means that people who have transgressed have to be fired, the Prime Minister has demonstrated a rare level of courageous and strong leadership by firing those. And despite firing those, the government continued to exist and completed its 5 years in office very successfully with a rate of delivery that is unparalleled. And you see, I don't know why you are trying to ignore my comments on the rate of delivery, because the rate of delivery has to do also with the stability of the government. A government cannot deliver unless it's stable. And the stability of the government has not been affected by the changes in government. We had, Rennie? We had a learning curve. And that learning curve, we made our errors, and we were never afraid at any one point in time to say we made errors. But we learned from the errors and we moved on. There's a point that is not often noticed in this country. This is the first political party that went to Parliament as soon as it was elected and put its manifesto on the Parliament table, made it part of the public policy of the government. And for 2 years now, every year, we have been publishing and putting back in the Parliament our record of achievements. And that's why we can stand up and say we have achieved 90% of what we promised this country in 2010. And all that can only happen if you have stability in the country. Look, how many times have the trade unions or specific sections of the trade union movement tried to upset this government, tried to derail this government? But every time they did that, this government stood firm. Part of being a government is to stand firm on what you believe and to prove to the rest of the population that, in fact, you know what you're about. And that's what we have been about. And that's why we have continued focus and the delivery showing for itself. Rennie, sad to go back to it, right? But look at the state of roads and drains and bridges in this country. Look at the number of schools that have been built. 100 schools in 5 years and 92 in progress right now. I mean, inevitably, look at the health situation. Yes, we complain about health. But you have a 14-year-old oncology center that is now started back under this government. Arima Hospital going, Point 14 Hospital going, Teaching Hospital in San Fernando. 46 health centers now open up to 9 o'clock in the night and on weekends.
Okay, be that as it may, he's trying to distract attention by saying he has all these files and busting them as he goes along. The headlines this morning coming out of a UNC platform is that the UNC is ready to bust files of its own. So it means that while you on one hand you're accusing one of being a distraction, are you going to create a distraction by busting files as well?
If people continue along a line, you have every right to bring the truth to light.
You see.
And that is what the UNC is going to have to do if it has to do that. But in the meantime, if you notice the platform of the UNC, the Prime Minister has been repeatedly talking about a vision for a new Trinidad and Tobago, which is continuing our old vision of prosperity for all. And we are now carrying a conversation with the people based upon what the people are saying to us in terms of their needs. And we have developed, are now developing, programs and policies in our manifesto that will deal with those needs of people as they've expressed them to us, and also to continue the work that we have been doing.
What is the level of mobilization on the ground with the UNC right now? How involved are you all? Are you because there's one school of thought coming that you all are now, you have to go shake up the ground now. But
no, you can't say that. Listen, when we celebrated our anniversary in April, right, you saw over 25,000 persons there. When we went to Macoya, you saw 40,000 persons there. What ground are we shaking up? The ground is, we don't have to shake up the ground. The ground is shaking up the country, and we are wide awake.
But sir, my co-host has said nothing that's not articulated by every politician. You get into the election cycle, you are going to shake up the ground. You want to get your forces battle ready, and you want to get them moving. I just get the feeling in some parts that you think that you're being attacked. You're not being attacked at all. We're trying to get clarity from you as to where your party is, and we will ask the questions. And I know that you are refined, mature, and an expert at this business sufficiently to take the question and then rebut it.
No, but Rennie, you wouldn't believe how you all are coming across, right? If I may just make a comment.
Yes.
You are coming across as if you have started on the premise that, hey, something is wrong with this government has made all the errors, and you don't want to go into the area that speaks about what the good this government has done.
That is why we got an expert. That is why we got an expert like yourself, someone who has been in government for a long time, Mayor of Shoguana's ambassador to Brazil, one who knows the business, who can come in here and tell us, no, this is where this party is going.
Yeah, but Rennie, I cannot be a seasoned journalist like yourself or Sharmain Baboolal, have not seen the truth of what this government has done, and that you are still in a state of denial.
Okay, this is not about being in denial. We see what you have done, but it does not mean, right?
That's your first acknowledgement.
Okay, we see. Yeah, of course. I drive around all over the country, so I see what you have done. So I don't think I need to come and acknowledge. Yes, for me personally, my view is, if your government is working, you're working. Yes. That's what you're supposed to do. If I were in government, I would be working. I would be working as hard as possible and make sure that I get things done.
Let me tell you something. It's not easy working in government, in a bureaucracy. Right? And what we have done in a short space of time. I mean, take the URP program, the much maligned URP program. When I tell people that URP did 855 projects last year, and within that was also 74 kilometers of box drains. I don't care whether people call us box drain government, the box drains are stopping the floods into people's homes, and that is what is important to me. And that they build pavilions, and they build jogging tracks, and they repair religious houses, and they repair schools. And all. People don't believe that the kind of change that has taken place, but the people in those communities know it. And this is why I feel confident, because the people in the communities who have benefited from this kind of work are now beginning to see and begin to say, hey, listen, this government has really worked over 5 years. This government has really delivered. And, we are prepared now to move along with this government in another 5 years.
So therefore it means, and I suppose one of the good things that we could honestly say is that because you said you never stopped campaigning since 2010, we are not going to see a new set of road paving right now, right? Which is normal around election times.
Okay, Sharmain, tell me the truth. Tell me the truth. Didn't we start paving roads way back in 2011? And you all have,
that's what I'm saying. Yes, that's what I'm saying. So I'm saying we're not going to see that.
Gimmick. No, you're going to. I mean, I have right now. I have about 89 projects, right? That I'm about to start. But that is part of this year's PSIP and infrastructure fund. So it's not to say that this is new money that you've taken from somewhere. You're just borrowing money to do election work. No, we did the work that was supposed to be done throughout the years based upon our budget. And you know what is interesting? Something that they keep saying on the radio, right? That we spent $400 billion in the budget. I want to categorically say, and I said it in the parliament, but all we spent was $291 billion, and the revenue was $69 billion, leaving a gap of $22 billion for the 5 years. That was all, So this thing about 400% was $291 billion, and the revenue was $69 billion, leaving a gap of $22 billion for the 5 years. That was all, So this thing about $400 billion is a real big lie. It's a propaganda, and the figures are there to show. In the Ministry of Finance, 291, 268 revenue, 269 revenue, 22 billion is the difference in the two.
The voice that you're hearing this morning is that of Minister Rambachan, Suruj Rambachan, Minister of Works. And we are talking about a number of issues, including the record of the UNC, because the PP government, because we are in the election cycle and we seem to, we want to get a couple of things clear. I know that you understand the need to respond to everything that is said, and you will not minimize concerns of those who will vote for you. And one of the concerns has been this question of accountability. You speak, and I go back to the learning curve that you articulated and Sharmain referred to earlier. On the learning curve, would you say that you are comfortable? Rennie? Are you comfortable with the level of accountability that has gone on, sir?
Rennie?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
show me. Don't answer the question, but I just want to ask it. Show me where we have been unaccountable. Because, firstly, this is the government that sat down in the parliament and with the speaker and the opposition decided that you're going to allow 5 days in the budget for scrutiny of every line item in the budget. And you saw in the last budget the opposition having the opportunity to ask every single question they wanted to ask, right? About the budget that was being presented and about the performance of the government. This is the party that says, Prime Minister, stand up twice a month in the parliament and let them ask you questions that they file 1 hour before. 1 hour before. This is the government that said to the you can file urgent questions every sitting. And it's filed 1 hour also before, and any minister will have to answer those urgent questions. That is the kind of accountability we have subjected ourselves to in the glaring face of the public. We have presented our budget, our manifesto in the parliament, and we publish our record of achievements, and people can go through it. It's a 120-page document the last time, 120 pages about this time again. The people could take that document. It's available from the Ministry of Planning. And you can go through it and see whether we have failed or whether we have not. And you can go on the ground and you can check it on the ground to see what we have done.
I actually like the way in which you play the all fours. You hand me the jack and then you say, but don't show it. You said not to answer. The question was not any specific area. I just needed to know that you, on behalf of the government, you are happy with the level of accountability. Because if you answer that you are, then folks will take from it what they will. There are many who question some of the accounting that's coming out of the state enterprises. They say they go down the line from the government, and as such, you have to take that responsibility. And my only inquiry of you was, are you happy with the level of accountability in governance generally that includes your state enterprises?
Well, if ever there are shortcomings in terms of the accountability of the government, every state enterprise has to appear before joint select committees of the parliament and answer based upon the annual reports that they publish, and they are questioned extensively on that. Just like the police had to appear before the joint select committee on national security and answer about the day of policing and so on. That happens all the time in the parliament. Even the regional corporations, they also have to appear before the parliament when they present the reports. And they're questioned about it.
Let me beg you my question again, Mr. Minister. So you were saying Minister Rambachan, I am happy with the level of accountability at all levels in our government.
Listen, there are always going to be issues people are going to raise about whether you have adhered to all the rules and all the things. But you have the auditor's department who has the right also to come and examine your books and examine your organization. And when they come up with issues, these issues are also answered. So there's never a point in time in which the government says we are afraid to face the accountability machinery. At all. We are not afraid to do that at all. And if there are issues to answer, we answer the issues.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Rambachan, let's get back to election 2015. How close is your party to publishing its manifesto? That's one question. Then are you all going to get foreign help again as you did because we see that you all have fired Ross Advertising. That's not going to be handling your campaign anymore.
No, I don't think it's correct to say we have fired Ross Advertising. We are working with a range of people because you need different expertise for different matters. Unlike the opposition, who also, as I understand, have foreign consultants, we also have some consultants who are working with us, and that is part of the whole campaign.
Okay.
But the manifesto question you asked, you'll notice that the Prime Minister has already begun to reveal aspects of the manifesto on the platform as she's talking from place to place.
Yes.
and positioning what is the vision for the new Trinidad and Tobago. And it's a continuity of what we are doing, and also with new ideas, because diversification is very high on our agenda. And you're going to see some interesting investments being revealed very soon, and memorandum of understanding and so on being signed in the IT area in Wallafield, as well as other things. Recently, for example, we work with the Trinidad and Tobago Motor Racing Authority to repave and reconstruct the racing circuit, motor car racing circuit in Wallafield. That is just the first phase of growing the tourism aspect of that. In Maracas, we are also starting a project, $120 million project, something very similar to what has happened in Chagaramas, and that also with the intent of boosting not just domestic tourism, but tourism as a whole. And you will see we announced a major integrated hotel and entertainment project for Mayaro, which has been on the back burner there for about 10 or more years. And the government is getting into partnership in that also. So diversification is high on our agenda, because we do not want to be victims of any more price falls in oil, and we do not know how to maintain the level of economic growth and the sustainability of jobs that we have. Unicoma, for example, which is the big arm of what is called the Quartz, right? They are bringing their complete Caribbean and Latin American warehousing to Trinidad, and just off Freeport, they are going to be building a major center that's going to be turned next week. 600 persons are going to be eventually employed there. And this is the road we are taking. The Point Fortin Highway is already opening up opportunities. As you would have seen, a paint company recently was on the newspaper saying that they are building their own building down there because they are preparing for the economic wave that's going to take place there as a result of the new highway. I don't know if you saw that one. So a lot of things are happening. You see, we continue to work to bring the investments in, to create the jobs, because one of the big issues for people in the country is jobs. Crime, health, and jobs. Those are the three things that people are really concerned about. And we are basing a lot of our manifesto around that. But the jobs, of course, has to do with the question of how do you create new businesses for people in the country.
Crime, corruption, and health is what I understand are the predominant questions in the minds of the voters.
Corruption is a perception. It's a perception. And, every opposition accuses every government of corruption. But the reality is that when you look at it, where are the charges against the government in terms of court cases and people and so on for corruption? But again, balance that against the amount of money that I just told you we spend and against the value for the money received. Rennie, it costs us approximately $1 billion a month, right? $1 billion a month, just under 900,000 million, to maintain the salaries of public servants in the country. Okay? If that's $11 billion per year, that's $55 billion of the $291 billion gone into salaries for the public service alone. People don't know that. So show me. Then you have 89,000 pensioners in the country receiving $3,500 a month. You have over 20,000 people differently able receiving disability grants and what have you. You have a hospital service for which people don't pay in the country, but you have to maintain and provide the drugs and the cost of surgeries and so on. You have 19 kidney dialysis private institutions, which the government has now partnered in order to ensure that people get dialysis at the cost of $10,000 per month.
Mr. Minister, there is no question in our mind as to how.
I'm telling you all this because you just raised the idea of accountability, right?
Yes.
And accountability means to show you how the money has been spent or how the money is being spent. And that's what I'm demonstrating to you, really, nothing else.
I got that, Minister Rambachan. We've got a small window remaining with us. Sharmain, can I throw one in before? And I want to ask you this.
It's been a really beautiful conversation with you. I'm enjoying this.
Yes, I'm enjoying this too. And I'm still holding the jack. You told me I will deal you the cards, but don't play it.
You will trump it after.
I will trump after. The question here, crime is one of the three areas identified. The crime situation seemed to be out of hand. There is still not a police commissioner. The crime is people are getting the feeling that you cannot even come out of your house. What is the government looking to do to reshape one? And it disturbs people equally, because you referred to the day of policing. It disturbs equally that an essential service like the police are still locked into a situation with the CPO. Folks are thinking that if the morale within the service itself is questioned, then it is going to lead itself down the line as far as dealing with crime.
All right. Let's face it. The police were given, if you remember, when nobody got increased, they were given a $1,000 extra per month. You remember that? Remember that in 2011?
We do, yeah.
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, sir.
And the defense force, everybody got that, right? Right? They never added that to the increase in salaries. But 1,000 over a salary of about 7,000 gives you, you will see about 13%. How much? 1 over 7 is 14%. Right? So immediately they had an increase. Now they want 19%, right? When the entire public service is going at 14%. Let's look back for a moment. When we came into office, they offered to the police, they offered to everybody 0.01. Remember that? Or 0%. We began at 5%. Today, we are 14%. It means to say that we have managed the country sufficiently well, in order to bring it to a point where we have the finances to pay 14%. But if the country cannot pay 19%, you do not go and borrow money and increase your debt and the burden to the future just like that. People have to understand that there's only so much to go around. And you got to sacrifice. Everyone in the country is sacrificing one way or the other. Corporate entities pay taxes, so they are sacrificing their profits and paying taxes also. So everyone has to do that. Now, all we have done is followed process, and if it has gone to the tribunal or what have you, it is because you cannot reach an agreement, and it's necessary to reach an agreement. Because as there are many persons in the police service who don't want 14%, there are many who want the 14% to go on with their lives. They have mortgages to pay, they have children to send to university and to school and so on.
Okay, well that leaves it open there, because that's under negotiation, yeah. But there's a question that I got from someone who sent it via WhatsApp, and it takes us into your medium-term framework. And the person is saying, in the medium-term framework, you're not seeing green lights which suggest achievement. Can you, what's
you're
your...
not seeing green light? I don't understand.
Well, what's your government's medium-term, long-term framework? What's it? Because we're talking about instant achievements, things that you can see, and you're harping on that.
All right, but the long term is made up of several short terms and the medium term. And what we have, let's look at the last 5 years. So in the medium term, from 2010 to 2012, what we wanted to do was stabilize the economy, make it financially good and strong, which we did. Bring in the investors, set up the platform for further investors. When we came into office, drilling had stopped in the country, We who went out there and began to get people to come back to drill by opening up the offshore drilling and so on once more again, providing incentives. So we knew we had to resuscitate the energy sector quickly in the short to medium term. Having done that, we are now trying to do further diversification of the economy, further petrochemicals. That's why we brought in the investment in Japan, the Japanese Mitsubishi and Massey. When I was Minister of Foreign Affairs, I went to Japan on what you call a Japan CARICOM meeting. I was the first time, in 19 years, I went there and I met 10 large organizations. I met the chamber. It was the first time after 19 years that we were able to get a foreign investment team from Japan to come to Trinidad, And I pride myself on that piece of work that we had done then. And that has resulted in the development of Massey Mitsubishi.
Be very careful, because I'm coming back with my trump card in a minute. I've got a penultimate question from Sharmain, and then I'll play my trump.
Mr. Rambachan, one word that's stuck in my head from what you just said a short while ago is the word sacrifice. Now, there's a strong and serious feeling among people that whichever party gets into government after 2015, there is going to be an element of sacrifice and belt tightening in this country. What are your views on that? Can you tell us yea or nay?
Well, you see, Sharmain, that depends on how you look at it. You can you make money in a business by being efficient on the one hand and being more productive on the other hand, right? And in government, what we have done is that we've improved our efficiency. Now we have to improve our productivity. Because we have improved our efficiency, And because we have been better at what we are doing, because we have been collecting more taxes and all that, we have not had to impose any additional tax burdens on the country. We haven't had to increase VAT. We haven't had to increase personal taxes. We haven't had to increase corporate taxes. Everything has gone fine. Even though oil prices fell where they fell, we made the adjustment of $7 billion very, very quickly, and we were able to say, hey, this is what we can do and what we cannot do, but let us not burden the people in a way that the people should not be burdened. Because at the end of the day, people's salaries are not going to increase overnight. People still have their mortgages to pay, and therefore you cannot do things that is going to create social instability or personal financial instability for people. And as a government, you have to respond to that in a very responsible fashion. That's what we have tried to do, Sharmain.
Mr. Minister, thank you very much. You said that I can play my trump card now. Do I have your permission? You found out where we're located. You know where we are. You know the station. It's great to have you here for the first time. And I am going to invite you to come down here personally and be a guest with us on Brunch. And that way we can open the phones and we can get our listeners involved in this. And we can have a continued good conversation, paraphrasing what you said.
Yeah, thank you, Rennie. Thanks for having me.
Did you accept? Did you accept my trump card? Are you accepting my trump card?
Our invitation to come and sit with us in studio.
I'm the most available minister. If you recognize when you drive the highway, you'll see a number 7921155. Text 7921155 for potholes. Have you ever seen that?
You're going to be in trouble, you know. You're going to be in trouble.
I have that for a year and a half now on the electronic.
But how many pothole calls do you get?
I get an average of about 10 to 12 a day.
Oh, so we have reduced the number of potholes in the country for sure.
Yeah. Mr. Minister, thank you so much. Hope that you have a wonderful day.
Well,
thank
we
you
have
very
reduced
much.
the numbers because the roads are in a very good condition.
He had to get the part in shot,
The
didn't he?
stuff works. Fine. Thank
Have
you
a
very
good day,
much.
sir. Thank you very much.
Okay.